eat.
As in, do you still struggle with saying eat?
Not so much. I think we should start recording. Hi, this is Finding Voices podcast, and we're back for the full-length episode for today. I'm Eugene Wasowski Gallagher.
I'm Tom Wheeler.
Alexander Kuzmenko here. I'm a person who stutters. Fluent as fuck. What's you?
So, today we got a few topics. We're going to start with age. So it's, I put it down as getting old and not caring. Alex more expressly said caring versus not, and the age factor.
Let's start with how old people are. Alex, how old are you?
I'm 40.
I'm 30.
You're actually 40?
No.
I'm going to say you've aged magnificently. You are 40.
I come in the late 30s.
So,
What, 36?
Something in this range,
okay, so if we're going to go vague numbers,
We're not doing vague numbers. I'm doing exact numbers. I insist on this.
I'm 31.
I'm 23.
Yeah, so the idea, if you compare with general how people who are older act, if you've ever been to a changing room in the swimming pool, who are the naked guys? Always the old dudes.
They are. And why is this?
Yeah, so the idea is that the older you get, the less you care about other people's perception, and we're just sort of exploring how your age influences your stammering or not, as the case might be. So I think let's begin again. I started stammering from when I was like 2 or 3, so stammered all my life, and I think I used to care much more when I was younger than I do now. There's just a little bit of background on me, Tom.
I started since the age of 3. I think it was at its worst, aged 18, 19. Became quite depressed, but I think it's because at that time perhaps I was the most self-conscious. I cared most about my self-image, and therefore, if you've got a stutter, it's a real kind of stain upon that image. If you are seeing yourself through the lens of others. More recently, in the past few months, 6 months really, I've recently learned to care less in life, and that has led to a general improvement in my speaking confidence. Wouldn't say it's necessarily like an improvement in fluency, but that I don't think is a concern so much anymore. Maybe it will be in the future, but right now it's very much a low priority. I'm more concerned about, I don't know, but it's just a low priority.
So, Alex, would you like to give some background about your
age and stuttering?
Yeah,
I think my worst stuttering was around 25, 26. This is where I hit the rock bottom, and then I was able to accept help in a way. So I was resisting help before because I didn't want to change my personality, but my personality kind of ended. Yeah.
It died.
There's one way of viewing it, but yeah.
Why do you think 25 and 26 were such difficult years in your life?
It's a later period. As I'd be more like you in that critical period, like you begun your whole puberty thing. It's a massive period of change in your life where you have to move into a new environment like university, and you have to make new friends, and you actually, because of that, you care how people view you more.
By your image.
In my case, I emigrated, and I was learning a new language. I couldn't really speak, like all this kind of shit. And my communication was sucks. And then I met something like, I met all those techniques, like prolongation, cancellation, and stuttering on purpose, contacts, all this stuff. Way, like 10 years before I ever went to Maguire. And like, I was a good student, I learned all these techniques, but I couldn't make myself to use it in the outside world. And there were a few triggers that made me able to do it. First trigger, like I was compared to other person who started, like I shined and blasted like I was fluent as hell. But it's like it doesn't prove anything. But the main trigger was like they gave me homework to watch a CD, and on a CD was teenagers like 14, 15, and they were using techniques like called hit and hold, block, release in the real world, and I saw like, wow, like I knew that the techniques were working, but I couldn't apply them. And then I saw like people 10 years younger than me, and they're doing it. I'm like, oh, if they can do it, fuck it, I can do it. Then I started to use techniques that worked, and then I got connected to all this community and shit.
Isn't that an amazing thing about seeing others stuttering using techniques and thinking, why can't I be like them? I think like that is like a really big thing, is having a role model of some shape or form and saying, I'm going to image myself on them, and that's why you use techniques better, or you think about doing this with your speech. Or in the case of, if you look to people who stutter who don't control their speech at all and are very overt, and yet they're entirely confident, and people are relaxed speaking to them, you then might start to think, actually, it's okay to speak. So really, role models make an enormous influence on, how other people stutter can really shape how you stutter.
Totally. About role models, I think they played a mind trick on me as well. So they introduced me to a woman, and we started talking, and then they told me, she told me like, I'm a director here, blah blah blah. We'll keep talking. I was using techniques. She was fluent as hell, and then she told me like, oh, you know what, I'm stuttering as well. I'm like, whoa. She was so fluent, so it blew my head off. Like, what,
crazy.
If she can do it, like, why? Like, I'm the most genius person in this world.
Was this in America?
Yeah.
Was this the NSA or something?
It was in Northridge, California, speech language pathology. Northridge College, and the professor Lee, so it's L-E-W. She's amazing for helping people to recover.
I must say, the American speech language therapy area seems a lot stronger than that in this country. From what I've seen, is that speech language therapists seem a lot more. First of all, there seems to be a lot more stuttering speech language therapists, and secondly, I think the NSA is a lot stronger and more cohesive and has a clearer message than the BSA. And there's a lot to be learned from the NSA. I don't think the BSA seems to be taking up, but we have hope for the future.
So, with the age and stammering thing, so we got slightly
segued away.
So the interesting thing is, all of us have our worst period stammering when there was a traumatic event where our perception of ourselves, like our self-value, got distorted by the fact we wanted to be accepted by a local community.
Yeah.
So whether that's starting university, immigrating to a new country.
It's related to a sense of self and to a sense of I want to be this, and this is blocking my pathway to becoming this. Part of it is related to that.
Interesting. Can I do a wee bit of thought experiment? So let's pretend you're a fluent speaker, right?
Okay.
You know those people who emigrate, mostly British tourists, emigrate to a new country, don't learn the language, don't really care.
Yeah.
Do you reckon they have more of a self-confidence issue or less than someone who wants to embrace the country? Like,
less of an issue.
Yeah.
The less you care, the more confident you are, generally speaking.
These people just rock up. They don't even, like, they head over to live in Spain. They don't know any Spanish.
No.
They're just like, you want to talk to me, speak English? You're like, but you're in Spain. You're like, meh.
But if they don't care, then in a way they're winning.
Yeah.
Because they aren't stressing about, please accept me for who I am. They're like, I am who I am. I am an English speaker, a lazy British English speaker.
Yeah.
Accept me for this, and if you don't like it,
yeah.
And that's their general.
The one thing which we really should have researched before this episode is what age group a lot of those people fall into. Like, if you surveyed every single immigrant in a foreign country, immigrant from the UK, just to see what the age groups were. Like, because you get people who move abroad for teaching, who move abroad just for a change of scenery.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, how many of those link their self-worth to their ability to speak the language versus how many who just like, meh, I'm here, I'm gonna have an awesome time, and then I'll probably go back.
I think I like to see Eugene. I think they put a very good line of conversation about age, and that why is it that certain age groups care less, and why do certain age groups care more? And that's something which I think I don't really know much about. I think it's actually quite a young area of research. The relevance of age and all kinds of things. Like, you look at speech language therapy. Which demographic has the highest referral rate? It's the 18 to 30 age group, by and large.
Referral rate for,
as in they are the ones most likely to seek out speech therapy. It's the 18 to 30 demographic. The least likely to seek out are those aged 65 plus. Because let's be honest, the game's up for them. It's like, I have no image left to uphold. I'm just like a vessel of my former self. I'm sort of like a husk of my former self.
One thing we probably should also try to cover: what can you do now, as whatever age group you are, to embrace yourself, so you separate your self-value from how you think others perceive you, and put your self-value in yourself. Like, so the only factor which influences it is you think, I'm doing a freaking awesome job, even though everyone else says not so much, but you're doing a better job than you did yesterday, and that means it's an awesome job.
Have you ever heard of Nietzsche?
Yep, I watched a documentary on him.
When?
On YouTube. Probably last week.
Oh, last week?
Yeah.
That's quite fresh in your memory then. So, Nietzsche was the guy, the philosopher who coined the term the Übermensch. Yep. Which roughly translates as Superman. But it's not as simple as Superman, the flying superhero. A Superman or an Übermensch is someone who doesn't follow the herd, who only adheres to his own set of beliefs and values. And in a way, that's what you're espousing.
Yeah.
You're saying, don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to the standards that you set yourself, independent of what others think of you.
Yeah.
And that's how you measure success and you measure yourself.
So, for me, like, I should add this to the conversation. So, when we took our however long hiatus, I went to the gym a lot. I'm still going.
As you can tell.
As you can tell, no change whatsoever. Still
speech.
Speech-wise, no change. Physically, not much change either.
I think you've changed.
Well, yeah, but one of the things, the reason I went to the gym in the first place was, 100% for me. Like, it wasn't even to lose weight. I came up with an excuse to tell myself, which was I wanted to be stronger, but that was just to motivate me. Because I was planning to go anyway. I just needed something just to make up so I can tell other people why I'm there. So I actually had some sensible objective.
Okay.
And so, having seen people in the gym like flex in the mirror and all the rest of it, I was like, what? Like, in my mind, I always thought that was a bit silly.
I think it is silly.
Yeah.
I can never understand the mirror thing.
Yeah.
In gyms, I think it comes down to like this self-worship, which I think is inherent in our culture at the moment. That the one thing worth valuing and worshipping is the construction of the self and the maintenance of the self and the self-image.
So I learned 2 things while I was there. One is that probably 3 things. So the first one is that if you go to the gym or you do anything, do it for yourself. Like, whatever your
if you do anything
objective
in
is,
life,
do it for yourself.
well, I wouldn't be so absolutist to say do everything for yourself. Make sure that there is something about it which is helping yourself. I think is perhaps a better.
I have a whole philosophy on that one, but
Okay.
I'm gonna skip past that one for now.
Okay.
So you have to do it for yourself, because that means you put the value in your self-value is linked to your perception of yourself, which means you will enjoy the exercise much more. Second thing I learned, which I only realised last week, about the mirrors, is they aren't self-worship, even though everyone uses them for that. It's to check form.
Okay.
So, because obviously you can't see yourself from outside of you, so you need something to reflect it. So that makes way more sense.
That's a good way.
Yeah.
That is. I think really that's another way of explaining it. But I think the main reason why it's its current function has been hijacked by idolaters.
Yeah, because you're self-idolizing. If you flex in front of the mirror, you're using it properly if you have the weights or whatever in each hand, and you're just making sure you move in the way you think you're moving, but you can't really see.
Can you deliver this lenses while lifting weights?
That's probably easier, because
No.
I
I
often find myself quite fluent whenever I've been to the gym, because I think like I'm focusing on something, and therefore speech is kind of irrelevant. And also because I think it's because I feel more self-confident.
Yeah.
Because I'm pumping iron.
Yeah. I forgot what my third thing I learned from the gym is.
Make it up.
Is
I can tell you what I learned from Maguire age groups.
Yeah.
So the first comers getting younger and younger.
Yeah.
The returners it's a bit age up, like plus 5 years.
So 5 years from when they started.
From 14, so yeah. And then good coaches start around 24, 26.
Okay, yeah,
And then,
I agree with that.
And then go up to 40. And from 40 higher up, there goes coach instructors. Well, like almost all the time. Of course, we have those overachievers
And if you notice,
who get it young.
Yeah.
isn't it always interesting to notice and to think about how the oldest people in the room are invariably the better speakers, by and large.
Because they don't care. Even
Because they don't care,
yeah.
and for them it's just like, I have no challenging
yeah.
situations.
my favourite.
Why not, Alex?
I mean, me and you, like, depending on the room. On Maguire course, like, maybe adults are better speakers, but not really. I think the best speakers is those coaches who almost, well, no. On Maguire people, the adults are the best. Yes, you're right. And me.
Yeah.
There are some anomalies
I
in this
think,
room.
well, no. I'm unofficially the best Maguire student ever.
It's official. It's been certified by
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows
Alex
standards, standardizing agencies.
I stand
by the
alone.
bodies.
Well, like Ramesh might be number one. He
He shares the podium.
Yes, he shares the podium of number one. We haven't competed officially yet on the fluency part, but he has good chances there. So do I. And the rest of, well, you can mention them. Simon Bailey,
Yeah.
one of the best, of the best. Simon Bailey, like if me, Ramesh and Simon Bailey would start to compete for fluency, it might take us like 48 hours to catch each other, right? Or more, or maybe less, I don't know. So Simon Bailey, Cooksley guy, what's his name?
Chris
Chris
Cooksley, yeah, right there.
All old guys.
Yeah. Because they.
And then Angel Bones.
And your bones.
Yeah.
And then who is the
In much.
Ian Much strong as hell.
Again, all old people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't saw them outside the world. I know some instructors, I don't know, call names, but I saw them blogs.
Yeah.
And it's okay, like, fuck, just don't lie to everyone. Like, everyone relapse, for example. Everyone lie to each other that, oh, we don't relapse.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, you relapse in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's a positive thing because
Yeah,
it teaches you. It teaches you one, why you were or were not fluent in the first place. Probably because you. Normally, the reason if you thought you were fluent, because you thought everyone thought you were fluent and you weren't doing it for yourself. Because I should point out my philosophy on doing everything for yourself is no.
Egoistic state.
It works well because it is the evaluation rule I use to judge everyone. If you do something for me, but you claim it is for me, you're lying. 100% of the time you're lying.
I disagree.
Because if for instance, I got you a drink, right? The reason I got you a drink for me is because I value the friendship, and that is why I got you the drink. It is not. I'm not doing it purely for
That's an
you.
element. I wouldn't be so black and white.
Yeah,
But
everything's egoistic.
I'm
yes,
not
yes.
doing it for you 100%.
No, I don't think it's
Because
100%.
no one is actually altruistic. They do things for themselves, which can help other people.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing about altruism.
Charity especially.
Yeah,
That- yeah.
but it's predominantly for yourself because
Yeah.
Make me feel better.
Well, okay. I think
this is
generally this is largely true. Not fully true. I think, and by that I mean that for the most part, an altruistic act isn't so simply like totally motivated by selfishness. It is I think an element of both caring for yourself and for the other person as well. It's both. I don't think it's simple as it's just me and me satisfying my urge to like value the friendship. I think it is a case of like, let's say 70-60% me, and 40% the other people that I'm with.
But you, provided you.
But the self is a large component. I'll admit that. I definitely concede that.
Yeah,
it's a large component, but I wouldn't say it's everything.
It's provided you acknowledge it is for yourself, then you are being an authentic person.
Yeah, I think we were talking about earlier just an interesting point about relapse as an important part of the process, and I think it's because being comfortable with failure, which is an inevitable part of, I think, all systems, not just stuttering, all systems, is an important factor in life. And I think it's being comfortable with that makes for just a bit of an easy time, rather than being like, God, every time I stutter, I pinch myself. I think, what the hell am I doing? What the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
And that could work, but it's just the stress, the anxiety of having to maintain a constant watch for failure is in itself so exhausting and outweighs any kind of potential benefits.
You can link those two ideas together, right?
Yes.
So the reason you relapse is because you have been speaking fluently, because normally at the beginning of speech therapy you get told you speak well, so you feel positive about it. That means all your reinforcement processes is externalized. So you relapse obviously when the external feedback gets taken away, which is inevitable because at some point you will physically leave the course, whatever course you're on, therefore you will relapse.
Yes.
Unless you can internalize that feedback.
And that's a mission that very few can achieve. Because most people need external reinforcement.
It's easier.
It's easier, and also because humans are inherently social beings. And we feed off what other people tell us. If we're being told, you're shit, you don't speak well, you don't speak well, but for a day a year I get told, ignore them. It's a lot harder to take in than someone who's saying 90 times out of 10, out of 100. You're speaking well, speaking well.
And the
social being.
The one person on the entire planet who will tell you the most in your entire life is you.
The most what?
Of anything. So the one person who you talk to the most.
Oh, I see.
And who gives you positive encouragement, negative encouragement, all the rest of it is the little voice inside your head, which self-evaluates and says that was brilliant, that was really bad.
Okay, but where does that voice come from? That voice hasn't appeared out of the ether. That's been constructed by something.
By you. So you have to shape that voice in your head.
How are you shaping that? If not with the opinions of others.
Yeah, well, you can shape it internally.
To some level.
So
that is never entirely your own creation. It's a product of a culture.
Yeah, but you can
product of a
selectively filter it. So
I think you can.
Idea is that what we can do then to help be more.
He's on it. Alex, say it.
No. So look, we start. One of the reasons because we have self-identity crisis. And that leads us to put too much meaning into conversation because we accept ourselves to show some parts of ourselves that we see might be judged in a fucked up way, right? So we give too much meaning to the situation, basically. So to reduce that, we must fix our self-identity crisis.
That's
So,
part.
Who am I? And like one way of doing it, like stop holding back way, is assertive self-acceptance. So you collect your personality by accepting things. Oh, that's me, that also me, and the mix of that me. Like I stutter, I have this education, I have this achievement. We can call that mask me.
Yeah.
And that would help us to communicate with other people more, maybe on the same level.
Yeah.
So how to reduce that giving too much meaning? I find out that every single person has a self-identity crisis, not only people who start. So when you talk to a person, you're actually talking to a mask as well.
True.
Yeah.
That person, like CEO or CFO, it's not what he wants or she want to do in life. Maybe he wants to be a hunter, or he wants to be a housewife, like, and they have to do accounting, and you report them as a accountant, but you're actually an artist. You're like, what the hell am I doing? So you artist, fake accountant, reporting to a fake boss who is actually a hunter, like
Yeah.
And that mix of the personality, like when you know that what's happening, that you're actually not talking to something, you're talking to a mask or something. You can remove the whole meaning out of this conversation, because it has no meaning.
So it's like you have to be a more authentic version of yourself. You have to embrace every aspect of you.
Embrace yourself for all your flaws.
Yeah,
Embrace the awkwardness of your existence.
ETA.
It's all about embrace the awkwardness.
Right,
I'm
so-
telling you. And that is a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Because if like most of your life and most of the people around you are frowning upon awkwardness and saying this is terrible, you mustn't be doing this, where's the positive reward which you need? Well, you might not need it, but will help incentivize going towards self-acceptance. Where's that positive reward coming from? And
Well,
it's hard to find.
with the self-acceptance, you can get some sort of a base foundation of your personality. Like I person who stutter, I'm an artist, I do accounting, I call it finance, like it's my resume for. Like I'm a father, I'm a brother, like this and this, it's awesome. But we, like in terms of speech only, what we should accept here is that we have a problem.
Yeah.
I have difficulties communicating. Like that's obvious.
It was. I have a small story for that one. I have two nieces. One of them asked me. I think she's now 5 or 6. So I've known her obviously for the last 6 years
Of her life.
She only recently asked me, why do I speak funny? And I was like, because I'm a stammer. She was like, cool, and then continued on. I was like, cause
That's cleared things up.
she knew that I had trouble speaking, and her and her sister would try and avoid putting me in situations which meant I had more trouble speaking.
Wow.
It then was reasonable, but she was like, he speaks a bit weird, not really sure why, I probably should ask.
Yeah.
And I was like,
You see, like all you have to do is make a disclosure.
yeah.
And, like, it's
All you
so
have to do
simple,
was
it's
be
so
open
powerful.
about it.
Yeah, but
And the amount of times that just saying, oh, and by the way, what's happening that is a bit unnerving for you is me stuttering.
Yeah.
And
they're like,
then it's like, oh, that's what's happening. Now I can relax because I can kind of predict the situation.
Yeah.
I understand what's going on. So I think a lot of it is just being like, it's just taking out the anxiety of the unknown. I think it's the unknown of entering a situation and trying to put yourself forward as a fluent, normal person, and failing that, and it's and like that's anxiety inducing. It's the kind of the fear of failure again.
Can we? You turn that idea on its head, right?
Yeah.
If you say that, like that, this comes down to another thought experiment. The idea is that we stammer because we put the other person at unease.
Yeah.
And no.
Yeah. Okay.
It works out, right? Because the thought experiment is, what do you do if you're caught but naked, right? You don't have any clothes on. There's only two approaches. There can only ever be two. One is you try to cover up and you're modest.
Yeah.
The other is you pretend like it's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
that's a good one.
following that one of them puts the person who catches you at ease and the other one does not. But it's the opposite way around to the one you think.
Yeah.
So the one who puts your person at ease is where you just confidently strut around butt naked.
I'm butt naked.
They're like, yep, cool. This is how he
Move
is.
on.
Yeah.
What's next?
He won't be covering up himself, so you just have to not look there. And the other one, trying to be modest, puts the other person uncomfortable.
It's like it is your responsibility to avert your eyes.
Yeah. So, following that thought model, with our speech, that means you put the person at unease who's listening for whatever reason, like maybe they haven't heard about stammering and you haven't explained it properly or whatever, but either way you're reacting to their uneasiness. So this is probably why the old people in the swimming pool changing room just strut around naked, because
strut that funky stuff.
It's because you know they're going to be naked, they know they're going to be naked.
Get over it.
Yeah.
Move on.
Everyone's comfortable with it because that's just how it'll be. They won't change, you won't change. And I think speech-wise, that's what we should be doing. We, as stammerers, we almost an obligation to ourselves, to others, to sort of explain to people that we have a stammer, be it stammer like hell and just not apologize or anything, just crack on with it.
Yeah, but okay, let's put this idea on its head.
Okay, yeah.
There are means, and the Maguire program is testament to this, that you can change the way you speak and make it more normal.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it such a tricky one, is that, like, unlike being blind, where it's like, I'm blind, move on, there's nothing that can make me see at all. This is it, black and white, I'm either blind or sighted. With stuttering, it's like, I could squeeze myself into an angle that is fluent, and therefore is normal. But that's painful.
There's one other fact you're missing there, which is that trying to fit in with the crowd, right, to become a fluent speaker, is appealing.
Yeah.
As a stammerer, I've been trying to do that for the last however many years.
Succeeding?
No. I think as Alex said earlier, the objective, no matter how appealing it is, like, I want to be a fluent speaker. Acknowledge you are not a fluent speaker. You are a stammerer. A stammerer is not better nor worse than a fluent speaker.
Very true.
It is different. It has given you different values, different strengths to a fluent speaker.
Relativism. Speech relativism, I think you're espousing.
I don't know what that is.
So basically, speech absolutism would be, there is the perfect speech.
Okay, yeah.
And the perfect speech is fluent, iridescent, it's amazing, it's mellifluous, it just rolls off the tongue, there's no halting, no hesitancy whatsoever.
Yeah.
And this is the only good acceptable speech.
Okay, yeah.
Everything else that deviates from this is just worse and worse and worse and worse. The further you deviate, the worse and more abhorrent it is.
Yeah.
But
that makes sense.
speech relativism says that all forms of speech are equal.
Yeah. So that you actually pretty much summed it up beautifully there. And I was like, smashed it.
Move on.
No.
Butt naked,
Which is
move
that as stammerers we actually are absolutist in our views, but fluent speakers are relativist. From speaking with people on the street, no one has cared if I have a stammer or not.
Yeah.
Not one.
Because I think it's because they don't put any thought into it.
Yeah,
They don't think to themselves, this speech is perfect. They might do that subconsciously.
Yeah.
And think like, oh, that guy on the radio, he's got banging speech.
Yeah.
Look, guys, like it's like obvious. I will use your example as of a naked guy.
Yeah.
You can be a naked guy being a nudist.
Yeah.
So you self-identify yourself with a nudist, and the moment you do, you don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right? But then you can be a guy who come out of acid trip, and you are naked on the street. Right?
Have you been there before, Alex?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. So, right? So and then that's a different naked guy.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't identify himself as a nudist.
Okay.
But
So it's not like a social category
yeah,
for
but
that
It's
guy.
about perception.
Anything like, it's like experience
Yeah.
of self.
look, but it still falls into my model of if you're caught naked, how do you react?
Yeah.
One, this is the perfect example. One doesn't give a fuck because
And one says, it's
Because he
okay.
has a self-identity.
because he identifies with being naked. It's cool. The other one is like, I do not identify with
It's my
being
sexual identity is naked.
naked, but I am naked, and this is really awkward.
In
Yeah.
stuttering case, you are naked, but you are in denial that you're naked. So, and you getting your self-identity as a nudist. As by accepting like hints and advices from people, and people tell you like, look, your feet are undone, right? And you see your feet naked, and then oh, now I have my hands naked, and then you like your
My hands are naked. Actually.
denial ends when you accept more and more of yourself.
It's the
This is-
totality of it.
yes. And when you accept it, you become fluent. You become like you have a self-identity finally. Other way is instead of make it a complicated subject out of 1,000 personalities accepted, you can go through self-forgiveness, which is more harder way to go. You have to forgive yourself for all your mistakes.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you maybe can get to self-identity by accepting whatever you are, without building a Lego block image of yourself.
So from that, my understanding is, one is you stop your self-denial, and you are a nudist, and now you think you're a nudist. So it's like, okay, it's cool, I can accept that. And the other is you happen to be a nudist sometimes, and you forgive yourself for being a nudist sometimes.
I forgive myself.
Well, as in,
Lord, forgive me. Lord.
one.
And other case is you just was on an acid, and then you just find your way home through a nudist community, basically.
Yeah.
And you will.
Yeah. So
And you will
It happens to the best of
leave.
us.
You will leave. You will never come back. That's okay. You'll be okay also.
So that means then, like,
Love
because
yourself.
because these are two different approaches to the same goal, right? The first one where you are a nudist, you accept you're a nudist, and you try to act like a nudist because it turns out you are one all along, is what speech therapy does.
Yeah.
Then, but self-actualization is the second one, the harder one, where you say, I might be a nudist, but I don't really like being a nudist, but that's okay. It is a part of me, and sometimes I'm a nudist.
So with great
Sometimes I'm not.
reluctance, I choose to accept myself.
Yeah.
I am nudist.
Who'd have,
Sometimes it pains me to say it.
Who'd have thought that one of these podcasts would mention
I'd have
nakedness
thought
so
that.
much?
We are
This is
not
the natural
going.
conclusion of all of our themes and topics.
We are not going to use in the name of in a title the N-word. No, we're not doing
The N-word.
But it does explain the concept really well.
Oh, very neat.
That
So look,
because fluent speakers can grasp this as well. Because
look.
being naked can be embarrassing. So it's a good model for this,
Yeah.
which everyone can understand.
Right. So this other model, you accept it yourself, you forgive yourself.
That's what we need.
But yes, it's the hardest way. But so our goal is to get to self-identity, and if we get there, we'll be fluent as fuck, right?
Yeah.
Forever.
No,
ever,
yeah,
ever,
no.
ever.
Well,
No, that's true.
No, wait,
Far from it.
for yeah. Well,
No.
okay.
Come on, Tom.
No.
What's the importance of being fluent?
Wait. There's a miscommunication going on, right? So Tom is asserting that because you don't care and you accept yourself as you are, you won't be fluent, and that is cool. You're saying you're fluent as fuck, but I think the definition of being fluent should be tweaked here a bit.
Okay.
Because
Can you change definitions like this?
because we aren't absolutist with our views of speech, because
Okay.
that is not what a
Okay. If
fluent
you're
speaker
changing
does.
the definition of fluency and saying that fluency is speech that you think is normal and comfortable.
Yeah, which
Then you
is
can say that.
how everyone speaks. They repeat words, they make sounds.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
Look,
fair enough.
That is
Fair
normal
enough.
speech.
Okay, so if you say that, then yes, you will be fluent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
sure. But I
you.
can say that I'm fluent at any point in my life. By that,
Yeah.
by that metric, I am fluent right now.
Good.
Look.
But then, what is stuttering?
Stuttering is when you
So then
care
why
too
care?
much about it.
Okay, so stuttering is kind of like
When you care what other people think about it.
so stuttering is like a self-consciousness over speech.
Is what? Okay. You have your physical act of stammering,
Is it
which
worse?
is
Okay.
your perhaps inability to properly move because you're clumsy, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really care. You can't think of the right words.
Whatever, yeah,
you're
sure.
nervous.
Yeah. sure.
Something
Various
physical happens that breaks up a normal flow of speech. If we said as a flow of speech is fluent, and anything that breaks up that flow, like a long pause, not knowing what you're saying, is called stammering,
Yeah.
then it makes sense. So you can be, bearing in mind, you have two views of stammering, right?
Yeah.
Your view and the listener's view.
Oh.
So
It's my
fluency.
guy, 2 circles again.
No. So fluency is your perception of your speech. If you don't care how it sounds, you're fluent because
Okay.
it won't
I think we're
affect
mixing
anything.
I think we're muddying the
But
water by
we might-
changing
we might-
definitions.
Look, but then you have a flow of speech, which is how other people perceive your speech.
Yeah.
They might, even if you stammer or not stammer, like if you're covert,
Yeah.
perfect flow, still
Yeah.
stammering, fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
fair point.
yeah.
Fair point. So then, by your definition, stuttering is hesitancy. It's holding back. It's holding back.
Is
Hold back.
anything which holds you
Okay.
back, because what
Anything
you
is holding
really
back. That's
want,
a fair point.
what you really
But that's
want
changed definitions.
is going back right to the beginning of this podcast, because it's
Yeah.
a nice wrapping up
Right.
opportunity.
So look, what holds you back is that your personality is not stable enough. You don't know who you are,
Yeah.
what you're doing here.
Yeah.
What the hell is
So essentially, it
Going
is
on.
center and clarify
Santa Claus? No,
The
no.
self.
Everything.
the,
Yeah.
the self, the self.
Finally, right.
Yeah.
So you can either self-accept thing, or you can forgive yourself, which is the hardest way.
Mm.
And when you really forgiving yourself, the magic comes with a price. You have to forgive others as well.
Yeah. For how they
Oh, do I have
perceive.
to do
Yeah,
that?
you do.
Yeah.
You have to
You
do
have
everything.
to.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Alex is
Right?
right. Alex is right. Alex freaking nailed this one.
So look,
I don't want to forgive other people.
look,
You have to
and
forgive
let's
them how they
assume,
perceive
Tom,
you.
I do
and
really
let's
do
assume
it.
when you get to this realization, and when you want to get to this state, when you forgive yourself and you forgive others,
You believe in God.
I believe that at this state you cannot block anymore.
Okay, that's a belief. I don't think but I personally I don't think blocking is a good thing or a bad thing. You know, I think blocking is irrelevant. I don't have much meaning that I place on blocking much anymore.
I would say that your view of you won't block is not 100% correct.
It puts value on blocking.
Fuck
Blocking.
blocking.
It takes away the value.
It
from
says
or
that blocking is a bad thing.
It
Be
is.
avoided
I
Yeah.
agree.
by your definition.
But
Yes.
so that's
Okay,
why
fair enough.
I disagree, because well, if you forgive yourself and others for you forgive yourself for having any inconsistencies in speech flow,
Yeah.
and you forgive others for their reactions to your inconsistencies in speech
Yeah.
flow, then it takes away the significance that a block or whatever has.
Yeah.
And that is so that's
That's
where
the
the
most important
value
thing.
comes from.
It's taking the value away.
That whether or not you block doesn't make a blind bit of difference to anything whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's the
Long
golden
and short
standard.
of it. That's
Yeah,
long
yeah.
and short of it.
Cool. On that note, I think we should wrap up. Unless Alex, you got anything extra to add?
Okay,
You smashed it the last time, so unless you have,
what we missed? Self-identity, care, not care, and then age.
I think we wrapped it up.
Yeah, we wrapped up nicely.
And
The group majority is in favour of rapping.
Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
thank you.
66% vote here.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I'm Eugene Rostowski Gallagher.
Tom Wheeler.
Alex Kuzmenko is here. Bye for now.
Have an awesome time speaking. Bye for now.
Love speaking
Yeah.
in any way.
Fuck yeah.